Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by Mana Traders, as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters just like you. My name is Evan Irwin, and get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? This is a pretty crazy week where I feel like we don't agree on anything other than that we still enjoy Magic.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at, Ruben Bressler.
I have no comment on what we agree with. But yes, it's been a weird week for Magic news, so excited to dig into it.
It's been strange. All right, so if you missed our pre-show, patrons get access to our extended version right after we get done here. And we kick it off with our first pick. Now, our first pick is something I would call maybe, I don't know if controversial is the right word, but certainly something to chitter chat about, which is we have discussed many weeks on this show. We have yelled, screamed from the rooftops that Standard is broken. Standard is messed up. Vivi Cauldron is doing dumb things. We've talked about them getting rid of Vivi. We talked about them getting rid of Cauldron because it's not Vivi, A. And B, it rotates first, and maybe that'll be enough, question mark. I don't think it's going to be, but whatever. And so they came out and they said, look, a few years ago, we gave ourselves the flexibility to ban cards wherever we want. And that caused, infinite speculation. Oh my God, they're going to ban everything. This is really good this weekend. It needs to be banned, ban this and so on. So that's a little annoying. And then they said, okay, well, we're going to have set times during the year in which we're going to do ban and restricted updates. And that kind of kept, that happened for a while and it was a little rough or whatever. Okay. The next one was supposed to happen on November 24th. So they were saying that you were basically going to have to suck it up there, Buttercup, for like 3-ish months almost and deal with it. And they said, okay, here's how we fix it, y'all. We're going to move our previously announced ban restricted announcement date from November 24th to November 10th. So what you're telling me is for the next 60 days, there is it's all fire and brimstone, what you call your standard format. It is you play Vivi or you play anti-Vivi, have fun with your format. That's literally where we're at. And that to me is a broken format. Something must be the best. We've all been here. But like when it's this much the best, it's broken. It's busted and it's wrong. And this argument that, all these people had saved up money for their decks is just ridiculous. Anyone who buys that deck knows what they're in for. Anyone who bought it and they're shocked if that got banned, if you're playing high level Standard, you should not be shocked by this. I don't understand it. It's weird to me. And it just means 60 days of misery. That makes me sad.
When I read this announcement, I genuinely thought like, oh, we're going to move up our ban date. And I was like, awesome. And then you just insert the, you had me in the first half meme, because then it was like to November 10th. And I'm like, well, that's not really a thing. Like, come on, what are we doing? And like we talked about before, the issue for me is you can't even use the concern of the price for people's cards or whatever. Because one, if you're jumping in here and you're a super competitive player, you know better. You know the risk. You're just doing the most degenerate thing to try to spike a couple of tournaments in the next couple of weeks before the banning hits, right? Not a surprise. But also, by making this announcement, you make it where they're not going to make as much money selling or trading their stuff anyway, right? Like, I've already started talking to people, and stores have brought their buy list down to as low as $12 from what I'm hearing in some places. So it's like, okay, that doesn't really solve or fix that problem either. So we might as well just do it and rip the Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's a weird calculus, right? Because you want you here doesn't really work. Some of us want healthier in-store play, additional Standard support, but by the same token, we also want continued sales of these of the set that is the most recent. So is a banning going to hurt people coming into the stores? Is it going to hurt the credibility of Magic to make Standard formats in which, if they ban 2 cards from this Standard, what's to say they won't do it from every other set? I don't know that is what the mental calculus is. I think that you can only fix the problem that's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I don't have enough information to know why at this point they are not fixing the problem that's in front of them. Now, in the announcement article here, or in the this talking about moving the banning announcement, and all of that from Carmen in this article, they give some reasons why they're not pulling the trigger on the banning. And whether I agree with them or not, there are enough reasons here to suggest that they don't want to pull the trigger on the banning. So if you buy into the logic that's put into the article, and it's well-founded logic, and there's several reasons, then I can understand why they're not doing it. I can also not agree.
I feel like it's possible they know they need to do something. But they also didn't want to come way off their date that they promised. And this date basically makes them clear of, I guess, Avatar. So you don't have that dominating discussion and people talking about it and whatever. And every time you try to do a live stream, people are talking about ban VV or whatever. Like, you at least get to bury that before you get deep into Avatar stuff. But that's the only immediately obvious logical thing I could find, because otherwise, like, if the people playing VV that I've talked to, like, they've even said they don't enjoy it, it's just the best thing to do, so you're just doing it,
that's what every competitive player is going to do. This number one reason, your number one reason. Look, man, if you're gonna lay them out, I want to go.
Sure.
You say the aforementioned RCQ players who have taken the time, effort, and money to plan, travel, and assemble decks and schedule time for tournaments, that surprise change hurts them the most. The literally the definition of the people who would pivot the most if you did this
is those folks.
Yep. Is that literal group?
Yeah.
Those are the people. What are you doing?
Competitive players are going to play whatever the best deck is. You're not going to, and then they're going to grow and change and evolve. Like, if you get rid of some cards, they're going to change and just play a different deck. Also top level players don't own their own cards.
No.
Well, yeah, that's true too for a lot of them.
They're sponsored.
Like, here's the other thing too. People that say, like, oh, well, they can't get rid of VV because it's going to cost them sales or whatever. Like, y'all can just, well, I won't be too rude to our listeners, but you can put that excuse where the sun don't shine. Because, like, the thing is, they've already sold literally a record amount of Final Fantasy. Like, does not matter what happens to VV here. Like, the average person, I can tell you, because we have had friends of ours that do not play Magic, that they're just, hey, can you get these cards for me? They're just random characters, some rare, some mythic, some common. They don't care. They are not chasing VV. They're not chasing the high dollar card. Hell, some don't even know what any of the cards are worth. I just give them a number and they're like, okay. And then we get the cards for them. Like, it's like, they don't know, they don't care. That's not who they're selling this to.
Yeah.
They're just not. And to be honest, they couldn't sell anymore if they wanted to anyway, because it's practically sold out everywhere 24/7 anyway. So
true.
Whatever.
Yep. All right. So number two, I don't want to go through every single one, but number two is they're afraid, it appears, they say, okay, let me not put that in. They say that VV Ornithir is warping standard, likely needs to go, but we're unsure about Agatha Soul Causing. Basically,
get them both.
If they were to ban them, what's going to be the best? I don't care. I don't understand.
Something will be the best, but the problem is that you want the thing that is the best to be played by 20% of the people playing, not 40.
Yes, and then make 63% of the next day and crush every other thing except one deck.
Right.
That's my other issue too. Even if there is something else that's the best, because there always will be,
right? Will
they be reasonable counterplay to that deck so it's not that 40-50% of the field?
Right.
The answer is very likely yes, with everything we know now. Because what's it going to be? Mono red? Like, all right, cool. We can do stuff against mono red, right? Like, there's some things you just can't do against VV because, like, you can start the turn fully advantage and be dead at the end of their next turn. Right? Like, that just happens.
Right. I know you said you were not going to go through all of these arguments, but I actually think that the fourth argument is the best one.
Okay.
We'll briefly mention argument number 3, which is that we believe standard play may be hurt in the short term by 1 or 2 dominant decks. Long term, it's certainly hurt by banning cards out from under players in a surprise move. That's the argument against banning anything ever. So I understand that that's an argument. That's fine. But the fourth one I think is the best argument. And I want to talk about this one because I think it's actually kind of unique to standard.
We have the data you don't argument that they always run to. Always run to.
What? The fourth one?
Yeah.
Well, it's framed a little bit differently here, which is while we acknowledge that high-level competitive standard is lopsided, the majority of standard play is not. The MTG Arena ladder isn't nearly this distorted, and in-store play isn't nearly this distorted. So let's take them at their word instead of saying that they're,
I'm not saying they're lying.
being malicious.
I'm saying that this is what they also like to enjoy these, statistics
Right.
to run and say, and I get it. I like
But this is
all the arguments, but
this is also the argument that I'm on the opposite side on as it pertains to bans and unbannings in Commander. Because a lot of cards should be banned and or unbanned in Commander, but only see play in bracket 5 and have no effect on brackets 4 and below. Like, I think that the partners all need to go because they're so warping to the format. I also think that Thassa's Oracle should go because it's so warping to the format. But that affects no bracket 1, 2, 3 decks. So, like, does it matter ultimately in those formats? In the same way, if you're going to a local FNM or a local in-store tournament, and there's one guy that plays VV in a 20-person tournament because that's the person who decided that they like Is It the most, but the rest of your friends are playing Tribal Goblins and Mono Green Stompy and Mono Black Control, that's a different calculus than the numbers that we're seeing in the highest level tournaments. You don't always have to balance for your diamond level players when gold and silver are fair and balanced and even.
I agree to a point. The problem here is that the things you're using to promote to those people, to bring them in, or the new people that come along, you're like, hey, look at this Arena Championship thing we have. Or, hey, we have this spotlight event that you can qualify for the Pro Tour or, whatever. And that's what they're seeing, right? If they go follow any of the big creators, that's what they're talking about, right? So even if it doesn't affect the lowest thing, unfortunately, as we've seen with a lot of society these days, perception is reality, right? So if that's what they're hearing and that's what everybody's talking about, whatever, like that's going to be the dominant negativity that's there. So for me, from a business standpoint, even if nothing else, I would get rid of Cauldron and VV so we can just wash our hands of it and move the conversation forward. Especially with the number of people you're bringing in from Universes Beyond product.
To be clear, I agree. Like, I'm just saying that it's the most compelling of the arguments to me.
And I think that's fine. I think what you can look at as a business person, as dollars and cents, the standard spotlight was half the size of the last one. And you can argue about availability, and you argue about, how close it is to airports and easy to get to, and blah, blah, blah. There's a million of those arguments. It's just, there's a clear shrinkage there. And I think what I have seen when I see formats this busted, we go back, let's say, Jace Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge, really not bad attendance, if not really good attendance at large events. And then in-store play went to crap because no one likes playing against that. Where the best player always wins. That sucks. And
those games were not fast.
You cannot tell me with a straight face that you see live coverage of this stupid deck and tell me that it's good for Magic. I just cannot believe that's true.
There is also that. I did just remember the most egregious format that I've ever played that a card was banned from, partially because of dominance, but also partially because of how bad it looked on camera / how long rounds took, which was the 5-color control deck in Old Extended when they got rid of Sensei's Divining Top. Yes.
Wait. The Wilderness Reclamation time.
Oh, yeah, that was also bad.
Rough.
That was not good either.
But, I remember. Listen, if y'all didn't live through the Sensei's Divining Top era, y'all didn't even know.
I like that you sniped that before I stopped talking. That was pretty good. That was a good one.
Look, yeah, the Wilderness Reclamation was a bad time too.
That one was also bad.
That I did not enjoy. Like, those games were not fun to watch.
Yeah,
they were bad.
Man, you never heard.
Anyway, this is the life that we
draw top, go top.
So now we have this life now until November, first week of November.
Yep.
Second week of November.
Second week of November, the 10th. Yeah.
So we've got
last thing I'll say. Okay, last thing I'll say. All right. There's that I think it's a little strange when you're noting that you don't want to ban something because you're not sure what else is going to pop up behind it. I think there is an argument. You need to have faster ban release or ban and restrict announcements. I think every 60 days is fair. Every 60 days, things are good, things are bad. High five, we move on in our life. But that seems about a good cadence. Secondly, I feel like you can have the ability. Remember, it's your game, Wizards. You can have the ability to say, hey, we, reserve the right that 2 weeks from now, we'll just do a follow-up. Everything
Mhm.
cool? Are we liking this? Is this fine for us? And yeah, it's going to cause speculation. You know what speculation causes, ladies and gentlemen?
Hype.
Content. It
Yeah.
creates
Yep.
content. Don't you
Yep.
like to talk about magic cards?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's
The
one part
release-
of it.
A banned and restricted announcement on the 1st of every month would be so good for us on this show.
Sure.
It'd be so good for us.
It'd
It'd
be
be so
fun.
good for content creators.
Man.
It'd be interesting for deck builders. It'd be
I feel like every month would be a bit much.
It
Though.
might be a bit much here.
Yeah.
I think the problem for me is this. It boils down to this. I feel like a lot of Magic designers, God bless them, I love them to death. I feel like they attach a lot of their ego to these designs and these cards. And so if this card is being discussed as being banned or this card is banned, it reflects on them somehow. And I obviously hope that's not the case, but I feel like there's a lot of real personal attachment that I've found over the years for Wizards people who work on Wizards products. Whatever that product was, they worked on it for years, months, whatever. They poured their heart and soul into it. And we're over here trashing their design or whatever that they worked a long time on. And I'm sorry, but you busted it. And it's weird for me to have that kind of hold up. And I hope it's not. I've seen that. All right, let's let's move on out of the first pick to gather the townsfolk, talk about some community stuff and begin with our Mana Trader sponsor here. The best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes_VG8. That's _video game 8 for 10% off your next subscription with Mana Traders.
And it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've said what that is. So I want to talk about what you get from that 10% subscription, which
Sure.
for those of you who are unfamiliar with Mana Traders, it's basically a library book. It's checkout system where you can check out decks and cards and stuff
for Magic Online.
And they have a rate for rental and they have a rate for getting access to everything, the entire library on Magic Online. And if you use our code, then you can get 10% off of that. So you can try clothes on at the store basically before you invest in a new suit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the type of stuff that honestly we asked for in Arena for years and years to the point where we just stopped asking because we know it wasn't going to happen. But some of them were said, hey, I give you $20 a month. You treat it like Netflix or whatever. I give you $20 a month. You let me have all the cards. That's how it goes. So it's not $20 or whatever it is, but and the rates seem to be changing over the years based on availability and stuff. But either way, I want to play vintage. You can totally do that. And that's super easy to do. The whole thing, every card ever, it's wild. All right, let's move on here to talk about a little about Commander Sealed. Checking these guys out, cmdrsealed.bsky.social. They raised $81,700 for the Trevor Project. Let's go, boys.
Nice.
Let's go.
Very cool.
Which is crazy because was that event like 400 and some people or something?
Oh goodness.
Or was it larger than that? Because if so, they did a lot with that number of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More than 230 players played in the Commander Sealed 2025 main event.
Okay. I think I heard like 400 in total. So that would probably be right between all their side events. And stuff.
Yeah. With all the side events, they had a bunch of people in the room. A bunch of people were live streaming from there. Kuro was there, for example. So yeah, seemed like a good time.
Nice. Well, there you go. Well, congratulations to them. They did good work. Moving up here real quick, there is, I'm not exactly sure what kind of market is there for a Magic the Gathering comic book.
I mean, the first time I ever played Magic was in a comic book store. I don't know about y'all.
I mean it's a weird thing because we've had them for years and somebody seems to always be interested in them. But I don't know. It's a weird thing because even in Marvel, characters you're seeing in movies now, some of them couldn't carry a book. They'd have a book for 6 or 9 months. It didn't sell and then they just cancel it. So and it seems like we keep going back to the well on Magic comics. This is I don't know, the 10th iteration of them or something.
At least.
So I don't know. I don't know if anybody's really buying them. And for a while, because they put Magic cards in them, people wanted them.
Yeah.
But
that was
since then, I don't know anybody who even talks about them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead.
But I think that, if we want Magic to not have to constantly be doing universes without, then we got to invest in our own stories. And getting a Dark Horse comic series run, 4-part series based on the Elspeth story is a way to do that. So, these are being written by big names in the industry, illustrated by big names in the industry partnered with Dark Horse Comics, which is a big name in the industry.
Right.
You know, this is the change in the art we want to see in the world. Whether it's for me or not is kind of irrelevant. I hope that it finds its audience and breaks containment, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and not to bury the lead here, the announcement was that there's a 4-issue Untold Stories, quote unquote, from Elspeth that starts from Dark Horse Comics, is going to show up on September 17th. That's a week from now. And then one more on October 29th, be another one in November 26th, and another one in December 24th, right before Christmas. And yeah, like, you know, do I like Magic stories to succeed? Hell yeah. I like the old school Ice Age stuff back in the day. You know, and I remember when they came out and they said, we're going to do promo cards for these new comic books or whatever. And there was a point, at one point, Star City Games, they bought like 4,000 copies of one of them that had like Ponder or something, whatever that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Ponder, the Rouse Eric. Yeah, the High Tide one.
Yeah, that one. So,
yeah.
So that was kind of neat. They bought a bunch of that.
That's funny.
Yeah, like a whole bunch of people just spent all day just like, you know, taking the comic out and taking the promo out, taking the comic out. Silly. But yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems a little strange. Like, I guess it's fine. My question, now that you mentioned that in terms of like, who's paying for this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I get that we need to try things and need to be in other markets, but I feel like this is a thing they've tried multiple times.
Right.
Like, with multiple different artists and writers, with multiple different companies, and they just don't catch on. I mean, again, I think adding cards helps and gets more people to at least check them out. But even then, you're mostly getting the already engaged player, right? You're not getting new players for being in that avenue. And I think when we talk about the issue on universes beyond, universes within, you know, this is kind of part of the conversations we're having, that people say Wizards should just do this. But like, they've tried a lot of these things and it just, for whatever reason, doesn't move the needle very much. So, I mean, again, I'm not opposed to trying. And if the deal's right, money's money, you know, right? If somebody wants to take your license and turn it into a thing and they're paying you for it, go for it. I don't think it's a wrong thing to try. I just don't have high expectations for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And as HDMZ references in our chat that Destroy All Humans, the manga, is popular and has been adapted and reprinted a couple of times, I think. So,
and that's great. I'm happy for that. I just feel like it just like, you know, again, did Dark Horse, you know, approach Wizards? Did Wizards do that? You know what I mean? Like, who's writing the checks and who's making the money, right? I don't.
Sure.
I'd be really curious to know, because this feels like a very dubious project in terms of profitability. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know anything about the comics industry, so
I don't know enough to say, but I do know to contrast. When I was definitely in the board game industry for many years, all the board gamers that, particularly, you know, the board game companies that would make Magic games, they begged Wizards for a card, anything.
Yeah, sure.
Just a fucking planes. Give us something. They would not put a Magic card in the board games box, but they'll put the Magic cards in the comic books. I never understood that part. It was so weird.
And to answer the question on my point, like, I don't, because somebody's asking me like, what's the harm? I don't think there's any harm. That's what I'm saying. I think it's fine to do.
No, not at all.
I just think it just has both a low floor and a low ceiling. That's all I'm saying.
I like all Magic things to succeed. I just think it's a little crazy and silly at times, and it's fine. Moving on here. There's a secret lair drop for Spider-Man. This is not a shock to anybody's system or whatever, but I do think when I see certain things that I go, man, get one of these if you can, throw it in the closet. And I think there's a good chance you got an opportunity here. First of all, I love the Daily Bugle stuff. I think this is brilliant. Is it just me? The Fact or Fiction in particular is just
I like those. Good. They're cute. They don't look like Magic cards.
They don't look like Magic.
I think I'm kind of in Ruben's camp. I think they're neat. I think this is a case where they might be too different for a lot of people to rush to them.
Nah, I think they're brilliant. Keep it up, Wizards. Brilliant.
I think they're cool.
Right. Oh, I love them. Don't get me wrong. I think they're great. They do not look like Magic cards.
And I'm okay with that. I'm totally.
But that's also the case with a bunch of stuff that Wizards has printed lately.
Sure.
So I'm not saying anything new.
Yeah.
But I love the writing for the Daily Bugle cards.
Right.
Like the theming of the art. I think that if all of the promos were like this, I would be a happy camper.
Me too.
Like, I do think that these are very cool. I also don't think they look like Magic cards.
Though I will say they went too hard and tried to have like crinkle paper look or whatever. Like, if this is the front page, why does it look like that?
The crinkle paper is probably a bridge too far, but overall, I think
it's just like
this
from a design perspective, just let them be what they are. We don't have to go overboard on them.
I think it's very creative. This to me,
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Anytime the Secret Lair like gets that creative muscle, man, I'm all about it. And so that's not really what we're talking about, even though I think it's cool. And there's some other ones, whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. Here's where you do it. Here's what you're after, y'all. It's the Secret Lair Marvel Spider-Man Mana Symbiote cards. These are basic lands with venom on them. They look freaking awesome. You get 10 total. You get 2 of each. They're only in raised foil for $60. These will not last long. They'll sell out absolutely instantly. Basic lands go in every Magic deck ever made ever, or at least potentially. So you have super rad character with super playable cards and a really cool format. Man, that's gold every time.
Yeah. Especially in decks where you're only using one, maybe 2 of each basic land. Like in your 5-color commander deck, these are going to be exactly what you're looking for.
And I just,
also
looks so cool.
I think we kind of can learn a lesson from the Phyrexian ones that we did, right? Those were really crazy popular, whatever. And those you could just, when you could get them out of a product, right? These is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one. I'm hoping they learned their lesson they did from Sonic, where those ended up still being available, weeks later for the unique character ones they printed more of. I'm hoping they do something similar here. Otherwise, these are going to be gone in an hour.
I don't expect these to last very long. All right, so let's move on here to the Commander Summit. Power Dragon, you went all the way to Wizards. We couldn't record the Avatar thing last week. Trust me, I understand why. But because you were down at Wizards.
I was literally on lockdown. Which is the craziest thing to say. But yeah, we were literally locked down, just doing probably, I don't want to call it intense because that's wrong, but one of the more involved workshops I've been part of. Because normally, anybody who's done stuff for work or whatever, where they take you to these seminars and do whatever, there's like a point where you can check out because you're like, well, they're not really talking about my job, or I'm not part of the upcoming promotional effort or whatever. But these were literally like, hey, these are things we all need to talk about. We all have an opinion on. We need to talk about things. And there was a lot going on. And what I liked about it is this was the first time that the majority of us, I think all but 2 members were able to make it, and the others teleconferenced in.
Right.
But this was the first time all of us were in the same room at the same time. So during our breaks and at lunch and at dinner, we spent a lot of time talking about each other's environments, communities, the prices of stuff, just understanding each other's markets better, because we haven't really had a chance to have those type of in-depth conversations face to face. So I walked away learning a lot about other markets, about honestly, even some stuff that R&D does or wants to do or whatever that we may be affecting or roadblocking or whatever with different decisions. A lot of different things that I didn't really know, and learning that, I agreed and disagreed with everybody in the room at different points on different topics, which was also good, because I think there's a belief, or there was at least in the beginning, that Wizards was trying to make this group of folks as like a bunch of fall guys, effectively. Like they have something to go back on or whatever. But realistically, they were listening. Like if of the 14 of us or whatever that were there, or really there's 16 in total, if let's say 13 of us were like, no, this is a terrible idea, we should never do this thing, whatever, they were concerned of like, oh, y'all, okay, let's hear everybody's argument as why this is really bad or whatever. And they're like, okay, cool, maybe we shouldn't do this thing. And then there were times they'd be like, hey, we kind of want to do this. What do y'all think about this for possible future stuff? And we were like, oh, well, we started out wanting to argue that, but that's a good point. Let's talk about it. Right. So it was cool. It was really interesting. Lots of cool stuff. I have no clue what questions people want coming out of that or not. I have some things I probably can't say because of NDAs and whatever, because things were super secretive.
Like nuclear secrets, bro.
Yeah,
lives are on the line.
I will tell you, at one point, we were told we couldn't even use devices and we had to put them aside because they didn't even want the reflections of some thing showing up in a picture somewhere or whatever. And I was like, I totally get it, because the dumbest thing that's not even relevant, somebody would run with it and try to turn it into something. So I totally understand. Especially if, dumb stuff I could see happening where, let's say they put Chandra on a slide, but it's just unique art of Chandra that we hadn't seen before that they're not even going to use for anything. guarantee that would start speculation just running rampant that
Look,
they don't
man.
even want, you know?
You know, as Rovers Wizards is, I can imagine just trying to get into the Rockstar building where they're making the new Grand Theft Auto. You just get like a full body X-ray to go in and out of that
Oh, I'm
building
sure.
at all, you know, just ridiculous. Because man, you talk about those nuclear secrets, even Wizards, man, it's super hush hush. Plus, it's a $1 billion brand. What do you expect?
Somebody asked, is Super Companion coming? No. That's not even something we covered in the meeting. I'll just tell you, as just Commander format panel member, we do not want companions unless there's a major change made to
Right.
Look,
we will
man,
not have companions.
I think Patrick Sullivan was right. Make them cool. Shivan Dragon where you play all mountains. I think that's
Right.
rad. I think
Yeah,
that's fun.
and we did talk about some stuff like if we could do them again.
Make them doofy. Yeah.
Yeah, like what
They
could you
should've
do
been-
to theme them, but still make them desirable to play, but not just absurd.
right.
You know.
And I think that's, I think that type of design problem is fun to work on because they clearly didn't get it right. We all know that. We all know why. We all have that history. So now you say, okay, let's do it in a way that works and is fun and cool, but doesn't break a bunch of stuff.
Sure, but like a card where all you can do is play efficient 1 and 2 mana things. Like, well, yeah, we like doing that.
We like doing that anyway.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like, why was that even a companion? Like,
Right.
it doesn't even make sense,
Companions should make you work for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not just we're playing Magic and we throw it in because it's the right card.
But if that had been like your deck can only include cats and something or whatever, and you get this bonus card with the cool ability, they're like, all right, now I have a serious deck building restriction that I might be able to turn this into something, right? Then it becomes fun again.
Right. And you remember there was a companion that did exactly that, and nobody knows its name because it sucks. Because when they suck, no one cares.
It's played in control decks that have no creatures in it.
That's the problem, right? Because you can put it in whatever. It just gives a bonus to, I think, cats and whatever.
But it should have something like it requires a number of cats or a number of dogs.
Yeah.
And again, this to me that's the history teaching you. It doesn't say like, you touch the hot stove, you should never do that again. It's like, no, you learned a lesson. Let's do something different.
Yeah.
I don't think you should throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to companion, personally.
Sure.
I can say this on here. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but we literally did do card by card discussions on the ban list in Commander.
Nice.
On things that possibly go on, things that possibly go off that are already there.
I got my eye on 4 cards that I think.
And there was, I will tell you, a lot of discussion. A lot of things went back and forth. A lot of people had good arguments both ways. I mean, it was we have a very passionate and well-informed group. But what I also liked is everybody understood when to defer to somebody else, right? And to Ruben's point earlier, if something was something we were pretty sure was a problem for competitive Commander, okay, cool. I'm deferring to the 4 or 5 members that play a lot of competitive Commander because I only play casual Commander.
Right.
Like, I want to hear y'all out because this doesn't affect me or whatever. And vice versa, where they're like, this isn't a problem in competitive. I'm like, well, let me tell you what I saw at the last Command Fest or whatever, right? Yeah. So there was a lot of that they went on. And it was really, really cool just getting everybody's insight. And I will say, I can't say what card or which way, but there was one I thought I was going to get, and I lost the argument on one of them, and I'm a little sad, but I was on the other side of the argument on like 5 or 6 of them. So,
let's
and that's good. We don't all get what we want. So I think that's fair.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you had a good time. That was really neat. And Wizards does, they do well on hosting. I always had a good job. Whenever I was up there, super cool people, fantastic environment. Real quick, Gamegenic, I guess, ate Ultra Pro's lunch, and they're doing the Spider-Man accessories.
Sure. I mean, the contract must have been up also.
Probably.
Which is bad.
Expensive.
Bad timing for Ultra Pro, good timing for Gamegenic, maybe.
Yeah.
But also,
does Ultra Pro no longer have it?
Well, I believe they announced products, and then all of a sudden they said they weren't going to have products, and then this showed up. That I believe that is the timeline. Feel free to correct me if I'm incorrect in that. But
see, I would think with the recent news, this was more of an Ultimate Guard thing, but I don't know.
That's a question.
I mean, I feel like it would be too recent for the Ultimate Guard thing, but maybe they got Ultimate Guards.
I mean, the files are already done, so you just have to send them to people, and everybody's making deck boxes and playmats or whatever. So it wouldn't be that difficult, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like that would have been a very fast contract turnaround.
Sure, the Evergo knows the Ultra Pro supplies had solicits like several months ago. This is where the distributors send stuff out to game stores and say, "Hey, buy these." Particularly because Ultra Pro products, at least generally, are one print run. They make X sleeves, they sell X sleeves. That's it. They don't go back. So that's the thing. That said, let's move on here to Desperate Ravings, where we talk a little bit things that could be infuriating a little bit. And I'll tell you, now that we're here, and now that we have the full set of Spider-Man, and now that we have the full set of Through the Omenpaths, I will say that this feels like the worst set in a long time. And I don't mean that as in it sucks, it's crap, it's trash, you shouldn't buy any of it, blah, 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 blah. What I'm saying is we have been used to sets that are 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, around there or even better.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I think they hit like a 6.5, maybe a 7 if I want to be generous. This set just kind of seems all over the place. I feel like when you look at the timeline, they actually posted the timeline about how it turned into a standard legal set, and it was coincidentally right when Aftermath came out. So that was funny. But to me, again, that to me was like, oh no, we need to make more cards because that weird half set crap don't work. And they kind of put all that in. There's so many spider dudes. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. And now through the Omen Paths, it looks even more ridiculous, quite frankly, when everybody's a spider because spider reasons.
Yeah. But like, that's what we have. Like I agree that it is ham-fisted and feels shoehorned, but it had to be ham-fisted and be shoehorned. Like, it's what we had to have in order to get the cards on Arena and in order for there to be cards that we can play elsewhere. That's part of the contract. So that part's not upsetting to me. I also don't necessarily mind a weaker set every now and again, particularly one if it's like a Universes Beyond, we get some new players into the game kind of set. This one also feels a lot more top-down. This one feels a lot more, we have the flavor, so then we want to get some abilities to go with the flavor, with Web and having all the spider heroes and all the symbiote villains and all that kind of stuff. Feels a lot more like a hat set, basically. Sort of more like a Outlaws at Thunder Junction style set where we have these top-down designs that we're going to put on Magic cards. And I don't mind that every now and again.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about, kind of rating the sets, I do think we had Tarkir, then Final Fantasy, then Edge of Eternities, and that's a hot run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are all very good.
Run, dude. That's really
Edge of Eternities, probably like a 7, 7.5, where the others were hitting probably 8.5 or 9 between those last two. So I get it. Did you have something that comes in at like a 5.5 or a 6? And you're like, this sucks. It's like, it's fine. It's just not what we're used to. I mean, we had just kind of same we talked about like Ether Drift or Carlisle Manor last year or whatever, right?
Yeah, right. It's a hat set.
Yeah, not all of them are going to be bangers.
Right. I think the issue is that Ether Drift, regardless of its flaws, I think it had enough kind of space to breathe. And I feel like you could tell that they took that time. Even if I think it was too much, and we talked about being too much, I think they did their best to fill that world as best they wanted to. For me, Spider-Man reads and feels like a set where they're like, oh my God, we need to get this done really quickly. Or we need to add all these, new designs really quickly. And as a result, it just feels like a hodgepodge.
Well, I'd rather they add a bunch of designs. If they have to add a bunch of designs late in the process, I'd rather it feel slightly weaker than be too strong.
Well,
I'm going to say something that people get mad about, but one, worrying about the limited environment, I think is a dumb thing sometimes. Not every single set needs to be perfect for limited. It just doesn't. Like the majority of people, we know this, we've seen the numbers 1,000 times. A bunch of them don't even play limited outside of pre-releases. They just don't. So it's okay to have one small set that doesn't, if you have 5 other sets during the year that are really great for limited and one that's not, we're okay. It's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah. For sure.
But it is made for the pick 2 draft, and the pick 2 draft is actually reasonable.
Yeah, I was saying, like, we got some all-timers this year. Like Tarkir and Edge of Eternities. I think those limited formats are fantastic.
Yeah.
So, like, we've had some really great ones. But, again, this whole, like, pick 2 thing, I think is going to be strange. I don't know. This whole thing feels strange. This whole
warning to the players, no matter how you feel about the set, don't ignore the set totally just because Spider-Man, whatever. There are some really good cards in this set.
For sure. Definitely cool cards.
There are some fantastic cards in this set. So don't just ignore them because you just, I don't want Spider-Man cards in my deck or whatever. Like, that's a real thing. I mean, if anything, the biggest thing I think, like you were saying, is around the time they started changing how long standard was going to be and our Universe Beyond set's going to be in standard. I think that probably led to contractual issues. And that's probably how we got the Omenpaths on Magic Arena.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
There's probably a point where the mouse ain't going to play nice when you got to redo contracts. And you're probably not going to want a whole fresh contract just to put stuff on Arena. So you got to make do with what you got.
And Marvel probably snap that up.
Sure.
Yeah, lol.
Sure.
But either way, that's unfortunate. All I know is the set just feels really strange to me. It's been a while since I've had a set where I'm just like, man, as weird as Outlaws felt or whatever, and as bad as Karlov Manor may have been, yeah, this set feels way more odd than those.
To be fair, we're going to have a MagicCon coming up. There's going to be a couple of Command Fests. We're going to get the ban list changes, and we're going to have Avatar. All that happens in the next 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Or 7 weeks. So
sure,
it won't be that big a deal.
It won't last forever. Now,
yeah.
Quick note here. Wizards president John Haidt once again delivered 2 thumbs up for an LLM-generated material in the company's games. This is from a tweet from Chase Taylor Carter on Blue Sky. This is not his words or anything. But he notes that, hey, he talked about LLM-generated chat GPTs of the world, your AIs of the world, to help essentially come up with ideas and whatnot. And I think, look, first of all, we're in a world where you cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube. I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is that this train has yet to stop. And if you look at a large language model that looks at billions of text, of texts and, words and phrases and all this stuff, and it looks at that and you are using that, and Ruben, this is a good question for you because you're in this world. Are you telling me that it is a bad idea to not just say, hey, can you give me 10 ideas that would make an orc unique? Did you cross a line there if you ask ChatGPT that?
No, if you use a large language model to spur your own creativity, that's probably not crossing the line. The problem with large language models and what we laughingly refer to as artificial intelligence engines, which actually aren't, they are in fact large scraping threshers that take words off of the internet and put them in order to approximate the accumulated average of hundreds of thousands of posts and novels and movies and stuff. You're never going to meet a bigger hater than me. Is it inappropriate? Probably not. That's probably a fine and ethical way to use a large language model, is to say, what would the accumulated average ideas look like? And then take some of those average ideas and say, oh, I can iterate on that and add my own personal spin to it. If you type in, I want 10, what would a tavern name sound like in a medieval village in the 1500s?
Right.
And you get 10 names, then you go, all right, I can make something that sounds a little bit like that, but using my own flavor and using my own version of the world that I'm telling a story in. That's probably fine. Assuming that the environmental impact, et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of just using it, that seems okay. I'm not necessarily surprised by this. I think that this is probably the best kind of response that we could hope for from the WotC president. It's also helpful that John Haidt has worked in the games industry for 25 years and is native to games in some meaningful way that a lot of previous WotC executives are not. So I think that there is, there's push and there's pull on two sides, right? On the one hand, this is a president of a multi-billion-dollar company that wants to make money and also wants all his billionaire friends to like him. And so they're going to like the same thing, which is large language models. On the other hand, creativity matters and nothing has actually ever been made by someone who didn't have a heart and a brain, right? So I'm of two minds about it. But the way that you just described it, that's probably the only way that I would even be okay with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, right? I think, don't get me wrong, AI in general, as far as how it's created and how it operates, whatever, is not good. We know this.
We all get the issues around it, yes.
But just because something says AI doesn't immediately make it bad. is the other thing. To Ruben's point, like you might just be having writer's block or something or whatever, and it's a quick way to get some solutions or whatever. Like
Yeah,
I understand that. Hell, people use it for YouTube to be like, hey, I'm just trying to reword this title because it just sounds like crap. Can you give me 5 different ways to say this? Right? Is that like the most egregious use of it? No. Like they put in their own idea. They're just trying to clean it up so it's more palatable or whatever. Like I get it. If it's uses like that, or you're saying like, like we're renaming stuff, or hey, I'm trying to make this puzzle make sense in my D&D campaign, but like I don't know how to get this last step to work. Oh, give me 5 ideas. All right, fine. We're gonna continue to see that. Like AI is not going anywhere at this point, whether we like it or not. So if we're getting the most basic use of it that's helping spur creativity in our spaces, I will take that over what it can be.
Right. And I'm not, just to give an example for me, sort of what this sounds like to me is the idea that, we have calculators that can calculate numbers, but we cannot tell our calculators, I have 20 apples and Jane has 7 apples. You know what I mean? It can't figure that out, but now AI can. So it's a different tool to figure out a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, it takes power and it sucks and it's taking other people's work. We get all that crap. We understand that. But again, part of the toothpaste is out of the tube no matter what happens. And, I just don't think it's 100% the villain. That's the way I would put it. Like I think partially the villain, but I don't think it's 100% the villain.
I think the problem for me is when we get reaction like this or stories like this to these kind of basic statements,
right?
When there is a more serious thing, we're slowly desensitizing people to care about that more serious thing when it comes up.
It's true.
Right? I'd rather it's like the low stuff, whatever, it's fine. It's going to be part of the world forever. Let's ignore that. But when it starts really, like we're saying, taking people's jobs or stealing people's information, okay, let's make sure people are focusing on that because that's the part that really sucks.
Yeah, this is a pick your battles. You know what I mean? Like, it's him saying we might look to it for ideas sometimes. Hell, I would be surprised if people don't, honestly.
Sure, in every field.
Would you not want it just to be spurred on as a human who looks at words? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, it's just ideas.
Assuming there's not some sort of ridiculous environmental or ethical impact, sure.
Yeah.
But also just spend some more time Googling. Like,
it's fine. Read a book. All right. So, let's move on here. Let's turn the corner here to the finisher. Now, today has been a weird one, a scary one, and a tough one. So tell me, what's some good news, Ruben?
Well, the 3 of us just started our Avatar The Last Airbender watch through, everybody, which is live on Tuesday nights on Twitch and YouTube. And there is little that I love more than introducing something that I love to my friends. Which reminds me, I have got to introduce both of you to my actual favorite thing, anarcho-communism. I have some literature and some pamphlets. I have a lit Molotov cocktail for everybody.
Oh, good.
Great.
Nice.
Great.
Yeah, like, special ones with the date, and it's crest and stuff. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, exactly.
Power Dragon?
Well, it turns out I actually like a lot of the Through the Omenpaths card translations for Arena, and I'm looking forward to getting them in paper one day, hopefully, if that's ever possible. But it does give me hope for the future that we can get an exciting reprint of one of the most precious Universes Beyond cards, the 2 Ring.
Yep. 2 Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Which sometimes I refer to the Soul Ring as, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
That
fits.
Right? The ring not featured in this motion picture. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Standard has been having a rough go of it for the last month or so, but Mono Green is giving me hope. Beating people up with undercosted beaters and pump spells is just gun clean living. And the good news is, to paraphrase Gordon Gekko, green, for lack of a better word, is good.
It is. I've been telling people that for decades.
Very nice. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, as always, good to be here, and I'm glad I'm finally caught up on my sleep after all the craziness last week.
Goodness. Thank you, Ruben.
Nice. Hey, thanks, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
All right. As we move on here to our final slide, I want to thank our sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, Power Dragon, and Ruben Bressler. Viewers like you for watching or listening. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online in our exclusive member Discord. Subscribe to our Patreon. Watch us live on Twitch. Join us live or taped on our YouTube channel. Check us out on TikTok. Follow us on Blue Sky, or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.